Most of us have played the simple game Simon Says. The game involves 3 or more players typically, where one takes the role of Simon and issues instructions such as jump or tap your head to the other participants who those instructions should only be followed if prefaced with the phrase Simon Says. Now, I fully admit that I am still learning to be a Christian, how to be a Christian, what that looks like. But I've found it strange how in the church, Jesus Says is a totally different game. If Jesus says something, we don't have to do it if it's not that comfortable or if it's too uncomfortable. Let's just memorize it or study it or even admire it. For instance, Jesus says, "Go and make disciples." Well, how many among us, myself included, are actually making disciples? Maybe we've lost a bit of the wonder of being a disciple, which literally means a learner. And what happens when you truly learn something? Where does it then take you? Well, back in Jesus' day, all the little kids around 5 or 6 years old went to school, what is basically known as rabbi school, to study the Torah. Most kids by the age of 10 would have learned the entire Torah by heart. Every word, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, memorized. I could barely memorize my own home phone number at that age. And by around age 10, most kids were no longer going to school, but instead were learning the family trade or business, or learning how to manage a household. But the best of the best would continue their education to the next level. The ones with the most natural ability would aim to learn the rest of the Hebrew scriptures, Genesis through Malachi, memorized. By age 14 or 15, most kids are in the family business at that time. But the best of the best would continue on to the next level of education, and they'd maybe go to a rabbi and apply to become one of that rabbi's disciples. See, there was a depth to being a disciple. A disciple doesn't just want to know what the rabbi knows. The disciple wants to be like the rabbi and wants to learn to do what the rabbi does. Different rabbis had different sets of interpretations of how they understood and lived out the scriptures. A rabbi's set of interpretations was called the rabbi's yoke. So when you applied to become one of the rabbi's disciples, you wanted to take that rabbi's yoke upon you so that you could learn to know what the rabbi knows in order to do what the rabbi does so you can be like the rabbi. So you'd go to that rabbi and say, "Rabbi, I want to become one of your disciples." And the rabbi would then grill you and ask you questions about the Torah and the prophets and about the oral tradition. Because the rabbi wants to know, can this kid do what I do? Can this kid spread my yoke? Does this kid have what it takes to follow me? And more often than not, the rabbi would say, obviously you love God and you know the Torah, but you don't have what it takes to become one of my disciples. So go and continue learning the family trade or business. But if the rabbi thinks this kid has got it and can do what I can do, the rabbi would say to the kid, "Come, follow me." And so the kid would leave the family, friends, synagogue, the village, and you would devote your entire life to being like your rabbi, learning to do what your rabbi does. You would eat the same food in the same way. You would go to sleep and awake the same way as your rabbi. You would learn to study the scriptures and understand God in the same way as your rabbi. You followed so closely behind your rabbi when you traveled and walked around that you would become caked in the dust that he kicked up with his feet. And so this saying developed, may you be covered in the dust of your rabbi. This is what it means to be a disciple, the desire to imitate a person's life. Now, most rabbis would begin their teaching around the age of 30, which is when this rabbi named Jesus began walking down the shore of Galilee. And he comes across some fishermen, Peter and Andrew, and says to them, come, follow me. If they're fishermen, and Jesus calls them to be his disciples, that means they're not following another rabbi. And if they're not following another rabbi, then they're not the best of the best. They have not made the cut. And at once, they dropped their nets and followed him. That's a bit strange, right? Who just drops everything and then goes and follows? I mean, I need to pack my bags and make sure the house is in order and the bills are paid and have a dog sitter lined up. But rabbis were the most honored and respected, revered people everywhere. And this rabbi comes walking down the beach and says, come, follow me. And what he's really saying is, I think you got it. You can do what I can do. I think you can spread my yoke. You can be like me. Of course you drop your nets and follow. And then some more not good enoughs, also who didn't make the cut, dropped whatever they were doing and followed and joined the Jesus Club as well. Well, fast forward to the middle of this journey of these disciples following this rabbi Jesus. John the Baptist has just been brutally beheaded, and Jesus withdraws from the crowds to a deserted place, yet is still followed by the masses. Moved with compassion, he heals the sick and miraculously generates a massive feast from 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Then he rushes the disciples into a boat, dismisses the crowds, and retreats to a mountain by himself. Perhaps he needed space to grieve the death of John, or to grapple with the gravity of his calling, or all of the above. The crowds and the demands of his ministry were a lot. And while he's off in the mountains, the waves and the wind are battering the boat full of disciples on the same body of water where many of them had said yes to following this rabbi. Beaten down by the wind, tossed about by the waves, maybe still frustrated that Jesus ditched them several hours ago, they see what they think is a ghost walking toward them on the water. Raging storms and ghosts, no wonder they cried out in fear and terror. Jesus reassures them with his familiar voice, don't worry, it's me. Don't be afraid. So you have this boat full of the ones who have known for a while that they're not the best of the best. And they've been losing against a storm all night long, and they're terrified. And Peter says, Lord, if it is you, then tell me to come out to you on the water. Have you ever wondered why this is Peter's response? Because he is a disciple. He has devoted his whole life at this point to doing what he sees his rabbi doing, learning to be like his rabbi. And so he sees his rabbi walking on the water, and he wants to walk on water too. And he gets out of the boat and walks on water until he doesn't. Jesus, save me. Jesus doesn't hesitate to grab him and to pull him up. Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt? Well, doubt what? Doubt the water? Doubt Jesus? Jesus isn't the one sinking. Peter doubts himself. He doubts he loses faith in himself that he can actually be like this rabbi. Jesus wouldn't have invited him to follow if he didn't think he could be like him and do what he does. But Peter doubts himself. What if we actually believed with everything in us that we can actually be the kind of people that live like Jesus lives? What if we actually believe that being a disciple is not simply about admiring or memorizing Jesus and still keep him at a distance, but that it's about imitating him while we keep learning him, and that it may mean at some point getting out of the boat? Friends, we live in some stormy seas right now that honestly are beating the hell out of us. And what a perfect time to get out of the boat. I confess, I'm still learning to be a Christian, to be a follower. I have doubts like everyone else. But I have no doubt that Jesus is calling you and me to get out of the boat, to step right into the raging, stormy seas of today. Like my friend Bob Goff says, don't worry about all the steps. Begin. Because Jesus is not sinking. And Jesus will not sink. In fact, he's standing pretty steady in the chaos of it all, saying, do better. If you really want to be like me and do what I do and live how I live, quit doubting yourself. They will know that you are my disciple, not by your rules or power or self-righteousness or purity or perfect faith or even admiration. They will know that you have been covered in my rabbi dust by your beautiful, compassionate, inclusive, grace-infused, justice-fueled, and hope-filled love. So, my friends, may you and I and all of us have the courage, the faith, the willingness to be a follower, a learner, a disciple of Jesus, and get out of the boat. Amen.